hello. Sorry for all the distractions. Thanks for the intro. Sandhya and I are going to spend some time on devices for hybrid meetings and share a bit of our vision for hybrid meetings in Teams overall. I'm going to start from the room side of it, and we'll spend a little bit there. And Sandhya, if you have questions, I have the chat open. Feel free to add questions there, or come off mute and add questions verbally. That's fine too. And we'll take those as they come. But I will start with rooms. So we've been at this journey in building Teams rooms for several years, actually since long before we had Teams, with link room systems and Skype room systems, and always built around a very common goal, a premise of providing instant meeting start and having a device natively in every room that's signed into the service that removes all that friction and complicated setup of how do I get my device plugged in, how do I connect to the screen, and each room being a little bit different. We wanted to standardize that, have one very consistent experience from one room to the next, and that core promise of Teams rooms carries through today and into our future. That is the very foundation of the product. But the world has changed, and although the product was built very much around getting an online meeting started instantly and trying to create some form of equity between people in the room and the people that were remote, it was designed for, frankly, a different kind of world, a different environment where meetings took place generally in the room with a handful of remote participants. And our goal was to make sure remote participants could see clearly, hear clearly, and have their voice heard. Now what we hear is that the people in the room are the ones that actually feel a little more disconnected from the meeting. That the online meeting world that we've been so immersed in and used to over the last couple of years changed the bar. It raised the bar for a hybrid meeting experience. And when people do join from the room, they want some of those same things. They want their own face to be framed really nicely on the video, and their name to appear on their video, and to feel like individuals in the meeting and not just people gathered in a room together and feeling a little less directly involved or less present in the meeting. So we are evolving the product to make that sense of participation and inclusion much more real when you do join from the room. And it starts with really rethinking the product itself and the user experience there and how we apply that into every room type. So just quick overview of how we define rooms. Focus room, a lot like what you see on this picture. A few chairs, people generally looking at the screen and towards the camera. Medium-sized room. In this type of space, people are sitting looking more at each other. They're across the table from each other, and they would have to turn to look towards the camera and the screen. This creates obviously some challenges. We'll describe a little bit about how we'll address that coming up. Larger spaces, we have a little more budget usually and a little more space, and we're using that to fill the room with more audio and video device capabilities to better connect you, not just audio and video, but also for collaboration. And we're adding things like boards and devices that I can approach and write on and engage my remote audience directly, and allow them to participate in that ideation, brainstorming, whiteboarding as well. And you'll see here as well, outside the room, we have another device that allows people to find these conference rooms, schedule them, and get the meeting started right away. And then the last room is kind of a category of rooms where we are building spaces that are very intentionally hybrid meeting spaces. Kind of breaks the model of maximizing, I'll say, utilization of square footage in a conference room. You know, the way we used to think about conference rooms was how densely can we pack people into it? 16-person room, and our buildings usually had 18 people or more sitting in it. And they fill every chair and look across the table at each other. and the content was always kind of on that little end wall far away from everybody. So when we rethink for intentionally hybrid spaces, sometimes we call these enhanced meeting rooms, it's about putting more of a focus on letting people at the table engage with that remote audience, give them better eye gaze direction towards the camera, and the camera able to see them, but still using the in-room capabilities to let people see each other. So the curve of this table, for example, is very intentional about letting people sitting next to each other see each other easily. I can glance to my right or left and see the people I'm with. In a lot of ways, this is even easier than at a traditional table for the people in the room. It's easy to see people across from you. It's actually really hard to see the people that are on the same side of a straight table with you. So this is really nice. The front of room screen, of course, here shows front row. I'll define that a little bit more. But we're looking at very new types of screens for Teams rooms. This is showing a projection screen, 21 by 9. We're also leveraging display wall with any aspect ratio, projection that's widescreen, even some new panels that are being developed that are 21 by 9 LED panels or LCD panels, where we can really use that screen space in a rich way. So the big question I think that most people ask when they see this type of this layout is, one, how expensive is it? And then two, how many should I plan for? From a cost perspective, there's a wide range. I mean, you can address this in a lot of different ways, from just software update to furniture and software to the whole thing, furniture, moving the room, AV, and all of it. Costs will obviously range dramatically within that. The question of how many do we need is really a tricky one. Even at Microsoft, we are still kind of feeling out how utilized these rooms will be and how many we should deploy. Current plan of record for our buildings is that where we have new construction, we're going to build one per floor per building. And the rest of the rooms on that floor are more traditional rooms. Half of our rooms are focused rooms anyway, that already kind of have that model. But otherwise, it's one per floor per building, and we'll see how that evolves. Different industries, different companies, different cultures, I think will kind of decide if that's more or fewer. So, from a product and portfolio point of view, across all of these different room types, we have really significantly expanded our portfolio. So we have on both Windows and Android-based systems, bar form factors, modular form factors, bar and board form factors that allow you to pick and choose any sort of mix of these systems to apply a very consistent user experience across all into really any room and style that you have. So for rooms as small as Focus, 3-person, even smaller phone rooms, 1-person phone rooms, up through the very largest board rooms, multi-purpose rooms, there is a Teams Rooms device that is appropriate for that space. And if you're not already aware, office.com/Teams devices has even more. I mean, this is just a sampling, but we have all of our certified devices available there, as well as all the peripherals that you may connect to that to help that system scale. Teams Panel, one of our newer additions to the portfolio. Again, these go outside the room and integrate deeply with the room. They run with the same license that the room already has, so it's a nice way to combine both out-of-room and in-room audio and video. And we're evolving the software actually very quickly and adding new capabilities for things like custom extensions and apps that each company may build for their own use cases and scenarios. So within the meeting itself, I wanted to kind of just quickly show some of the latest improvements that we've made to the product to really focus on this inclusion and equity scenarios. So first, we're bringing we've delivered video gallery across all screens. So if I have 1 or 2 screens or a wide screen, You can immerse yourself in all of the remote participants that are in your meeting, until you start sharing content. So we're really fully utilizing that screen space. We're bringing all of our reactions and hand raise features that let the remote audience express themselves and react to the content in the meeting, and everybody in the room can see that. For people that are in the room, we also want them to be able to participate, and we do that through either the console, although doing that, you're reacting or kind of emoting based on the room, but through proximity, we also are really evolving our support for companion experiences to have you bring your phone into the room or a laptop into the room and participate as an individual. So through chat, hand raise, reactions, and have your own identity reflected in that meeting when you do join from the room. And then we introduced front row. So front row is kind of a big innovation for us for that front of room experience. And the goal is to let the people in the room see the meeting and consume everything that's happening in that meeting. So see all of the remote participants at eye level, make them feel like they're right there with you, not laid out in a grid where I have to kind of hunt up and down and left and right to find who it is that's speaking. Chat being always available. Chat's become such an important part of every meeting that we want people in the room to see it clearly and be aware. And even if it means that you're using your phone or your laptop to chat back, to contribute, you at least are really aware of the chat conversation that's happening. And what we were really starting to hear is that people that sat in the room felt like there was some other meeting going on that they weren't aware of that was happening in the chat from the folks online. And there was a disconnected feeling for people that were in the room. So having chat always visible on the screen, showing whose hands are raised in a list, and what we'll be adding coming really soon is what we call positional audio, which will allow you to hear people speaking from where they appear on that front row gallery. So a person seated on the left, you'll hear their sound from the left. It really lets us use our intuition for directional hearing to easily tell who it is that's speaking, and it helps reduce meeting fatigue. So we are really excited about this release. It's available in every Teams Rooms for Windows device today. We're introducing that on the Android side very soon, and we're already going through some updates to help that scale in a really nice way on 1080p screens, 4K screens, and provide some flexibility of where panels may show up to help that adapt to different size screens as well. So a lot that's still coming here, but think of this as kind of our the foundation and the beginning of what will be the new in-room experience. The recently updated the Whiteboard experience that, of course, on every Teams room you can see on a non-touch screen. If you have a touch screen or a board type device like a Surface Hub or a Neat board, to be able to walk up and write in the room and have that immediate contribution and inclusion in the meeting through that whiteboard is just amazing. To have everybody in the meeting, no matter where they sit, be able to contribute and annotate and whiteboard together is it's really pretty amazing. I've always been a fan of our content camera service and the AI that we built for that. But in the new world of work, with such a remote audience and remote hybrid workforce, I really think we're going to see a dramatic increase in the need for digital whiteboarding and ideation, just to give everybody that the ability to contribute. So we're really excited about this new whiteboard capability. From a in the room point of view, I also wanted to touch on the use of laptop. We were seeing a lot of guidance from our own leadership about people bringing laptops into the room and using them for a camera, especially in a room that looks like this one, and especially as those get longer, that front of room camera will really struggle to see everyone's face. No matter how good the camera is, it's just not in the right location to see everybody clearly. And although we do support multi-camera now, we're not seeing, that will be expensive to add a second camera. It's not going to be appropriate for every room. And most people are coming into rooms with laptops with great cameras. So we are going to embrace this, and we're actually going to make this part of the Teams room model. So if I join with a laptop in the room and I turn on that camera, we're going to do things to help reduce distractions. Like when I have my laptop camera on, I'm not going to look at that big front of room screen and see my own camera. So for laptops that are in that conference room, we'll suppress the local video so you don't see yourself on the big screen. And you also won't see the room's camera on your laptop screen. And we think that'll really help. People get distracted when they see their own video. We think this will help with that distraction and just maximize your screen space for people that are not there in the room with you. So that will evolve. We'll do more in this space as well, but we do think that combination of in-room audio and video combined with laptop camera can actually be a pretty powerful combination. Earlier this year, we launched, actually late last year, we launched our intelligent speaker feature. Intelligent speakers allow remote audiences to see not just the transcript, but who in the room is contributing those words. So if you have 5 people in the room and they're voice enrolled, the transcript will actually show who said what, even when they're seated together in the room. Traditionally, you saw just that a conference room said something. Everything was behind the conference room identity. Now we actually use individual identities. So it really gives a much clearer picture of what happened in the meeting. For a meeting that you don't even attend, maybe you audit or follow up on later, it's a really nice way to keep track of who said what. And then the last few things I wanted to show were some of the evolutions that we're working with our partners on to deliver richer video support from the room to that remote audience. And this will really help us fulfill that goal of making people in the room feel like their presence is more real and unique in the meeting than just a table full of people. So I'm going to show just a couple of quick videos here, starting with Logitech. This is the Rally Bar and the way that they envision video from the room reflecting the active speaker. So you'll see here we're zooming into the active speaker. They also are including a picture-in-picture. So the secondary camera here, the viewfinder camera, is able to show a picture-in-picture so that you maintain context of the room. So you can see who's seated next to who, maybe what the body language is among the other people in the room, but you also get a nice close-up view of the active speaker and the immediate surroundings. And as the active speaker changes, the larger camera will follow that activity. So this is Logitech's view. This is going to be great. It's a little bit narrower field of view. It's going to be really great for those longer rooms, the sort of traditional, I sometimes call them bowling alley rooms, just longer, straighter rooms, where they can really zoom in deeply to the active speaker. Neat has a little bit different take on it. So Neat, through a feature they call symmetry, is finding the faces in the room and actually creating a composed video that shows each face in a grid very similar to the Teams grid. As people come and go, the number of people that they show changes. So you'll see here, there's 5 people shown. As they get up and walk away, that can reduce. So these, actually, we just announced recently, were certified for Teams. These are on the Android side of MTR. And this, for, again, a traditional room like this, I think really does a nice job to eliminate the wasted space in the room of the wall behind you and the empty chairs and that big empty table. There's really no reason to send all that to the remote audience. And if you were to put this video into a grid with other individual participants, the room folks, their heads are like really tiny and you're just seeing a lot of table space. Symmetry really allows you to zoom into the individual faces and get a better connection to the people in the room, better body language. Jabra, similar to Neat, is doing a little bit of a grid of the people that it's seeing in the room. So I'm going to pause this one. So here you're seeing the 4 people that are at the table. Jabra, though, adds one additional capability, which is a panoramic video that's a second stream. So this panoramic view below is actually coming into Teams as a different video, and the remote audience can turn it on and off. So if I'm watching that meeting, I might like the context of the full room and seeing that full 180-degree panoramic view of the room. I may not like that, and if I find that distracting, I can just right-click on it and turn it off, and just focus on the people in this view. They also are able to use that same camera to find a whiteboard on the side of the room and leverage our AI to provide a nice whiteboard view where we make the person invisible and make the ink nice and clear, all through the same camera. So one front of room camera can provide panoramic, separate video for individuals, and a whiteboard at the same time. Really, really nice innovation from Jabra. And again, that's at 180 degrees, so you can really see everybody in that room, and it works exceptionally well for places like focus rooms, where you have people seated a little bit closer to that screen. Last camera I want to show from the room side, and then Sonia is going to take us on the other side of hybrid meetings on personal, is the Studio E70. This is made for a larger space again. You think of it as kind of the replacement for the Eagle Eye Director. And they are using this camera to zoom in again to the active speaker. And you'll see this, they do a kind of cool effect where they do a breakup of the video, but they also can zoom in just to the active speaker and show them full screen, and fade back and forth between 2 different active speakers that may be on opposite sides of the table. So this camera is certified as well. Everything that I showed you so far of these cameras are certified for Teams. The firmware that provides these features is still in development. So you can buy the camera today, and through free firmware updates, add these capabilities as they become available from each OEM. So with that, I want to hand off to Sandhya. I guess I will click for you. Okay.
That'd be great. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandhya Rao. I work on the Android device portfolio as well as our personal portfolio. And so, Greg talked a lot about hybrid and coming back to work, but we also know that some of you and some of your employees will still need to either work at home on their own or in the office on their own. And so let's talk a little bit about what's going on in that area of the world. And so this next slide, basically, if you can go to the next slide, Greg. The next slide basically shows you a really small snapshot, actually, of all of the devices that we are working on certifying for Teams. So over the past 2 years, when many people were at home, the need for personal peripherals was tremendous. It really was beyond our imagination as to what people needed when they were at home, from better headsets that work in all different types of environments, speaker phones, new audio technology that has advanced noise suppression, to USB cameras, and building out a plethora of camera options, improved monitors that include cameras and speakers as well as lighting. And so over the past 2 years, we've been very busy working hand in hand with many of our partners in this space to create new experiences that really bring people to life in Teams. So whether it's USB cameras, headsets, different earphone and earbud form factors that we're working on, monitors and speaker phones, you can really have a wide selection to choose from. And, some people ask, well, why do peripherals that I use in Teams need to be certified? We work with our OEMs very closely. Our OEMs go through very rigorous testing to make sure that their audio and the video quality that they deliver really is optimal for and made for meetings in Teams. And so, and then in addition to that, we require all of the devices to really be plug and play, so that you're not, trying to download software or figure out how to use these devices. You really can just, plug them into your PC and, get on to your work. And then best of all, many of our devices have, deeper integrations with Teams. So when it comes to headsets and speakerphones and our monitors, we have Teams button functionality, which allows you to actually get notifications on the device when you have a missed call or when your meeting has just started. And by clicking that Teams button, you can easily and quickly get into that pre-joined screen within Teams and quickly get to your meeting. And it kind of cuts down a lot of the time to sort of go to Outlook or your calendar in Teams, figure out which meeting you're supposed to join, and try to get into your meeting on time. So we're really trying to build out more and more integration and functionality with these devices. You can go to office.com/Teams devices to check out all of the options, because we do know that everybody's got sort of a unique and different setup, and you got to choose what's right for you. And on the next slide here, I want to just call out that sometimes we have too much to choose from. And so we're also trying to help customers by, understanding different types of workers and how different types of workers interact with Teams, and therefore what they may need in terms of their device setup. So, we're thinking about, okay, who are the people that maybe have, less frequent meetings, or maybe they don't really have, a fixed position in their home or at the office, and they're sort of moving around. Maybe they are more of the power presenter, and then, going all the way to, having that sort of larger personal office space. And, you can see some of the devices that, we think can work in these different types of environments. And so, when you're thinking about your employee base, perhaps thinking about these, segments and understanding, okay, what kind of information workers or are you trying to, help be more productive, and based on that, really selecting the right devices for them, right? A large headset is not going to work for everybody. Similarly, a speakerphone is not going to work for everybody. And so, who is it right for? And, providing those bundles as it makes sense. And we're actually seeing, this is something, as people are also, switching roles and moving jobs and things like that. This can be a really nice delighter for your employee base, especially those new folks who are maybe coming on board and needing, some sort of bundle to interact. Maybe they're still working from home. How do they interact and meet others? And showing up and having a really nice webcam where you're not worried about how you look and whether you're going to get a good resolution or not. Like those are things that by giving them sort of a onboarding package can really help in terms of, one, lowering the stress for when they start work, but also really making them feel like, gosh, my workplace cares about me, right? They care about, how I look and how I'm presenting myself in my new environment. So that's just something to think about. We also offer on the next slide, not only peripherals, but a broad set of phones and displays. So again, this is a subset of that. So, we still are seeing a lot of volume of desk phones being deployed, mostly for, people with, stationary areas, whether that's a common area in, a cafe area or a lobby where, you might want to put a common area phone, or, on an actual desk where, people are doing a lot of calls and still like that form factor, that a phone can offer. And then actually we are seeing, starting to migrate to this sort of next version of the phone, which, we're calling Teams displays. So the Lenovo Think Smart Display, offers a more robust experience than a typical phone. It's got video and audio capability. You can also get your Teams chats and see your Teams calendar on there. And then we also have a couple of additional displays that are in certification, on the path to getting certified right now. So the Yealink Desk Vision is one that we shared at Ignite, and then Neat actually right now is being showcased down here in Enterprise Connect, and those are devices that we're really excited to bring into our family sometime this year in terms of our certified portfolio. And when it comes to displays, we're really looking at that scenario of, having it be a companion to your desktop. So, that great video and audio device that's always there that you can, have your Teams meetings on, and then you can also use your PC to, continue to work on your PC, or with what we call Better Together, when they're both connected to each other via peering. You can do things like sharing content from your PC and sharing that into a meeting that's actually running off of your Teams display. So definitely strongly would encourage you to check out that new category. We are seeing more and more folks getting interested in that. Can you go to the next slide, please, Craig? Thank you. The other trend that we're seeing, and this is sort of the end of the presentation here, but I did want to just mention, when it comes to these Teams displays, we're also seeing the need to outfit them at work, not necessarily on a personal desk, but in what we term as hot desking space, meaning in this hybrid work environment, we're going to have people at home, we're going to have people coming to work, and we're going to have people who don't necessarily have a dedicated space in the office anymore. And so at those shared spaces, the question is, what does an IT admin need to provide to their employee base for them to be productive during the day when they're there maybe 1 or 2 days a week, or even just once a month, and that workforce that's at those shared desks actually rotate, and there's different people there every day. And so what we're finding is that this Teams display solution can be a great option there. And this is a little video that kind of showcases a little bit about what this display can offer in this hot desking space, where you can essentially reserve the space, and when you get in, it's reserved for you, and then you can actually use that device for various use cases, whether it's to charge your mobile phone or your PC, or use it as a secondary monitor, or actually get that full display experience on it once you log in. You can go ahead and play that. So here you see you can charge on this Yealink device, you can charge your mobile phone, you can plug in your PC and charge that. This gentleman's going to go ahead and reserve the space. You can reserve on the device. You can also reserve it via Outlook before you get into work. Now he's actually starting a meeting, so you can use the device to, have your meetings, and you can, share your laptop screen, which is connected right into the meetings. So it offers, that really nice touchdown space kind of experience for people when they come in. Kind of relieves a little bit of stress about, forgetting your charger or, not having your monitor with you, when you get into the office, but still being able to do work. That's really it for my presentation. I do see, John, your comment about the Logitech Doc. Yeah, super excited about that one. For those of you who don't know what the Logitech Doc is, it's kind of about yay big, and it is a speaker, but it also has full docking capability, meaning that, and I actually have one at my desk at home, offers great speaker, with all the call controls and Teams button. But then in the back, there's a number of port options. So I can plug in my PC right from that dock. That dock also supports my monitor, a webcam that I have on top of the monitor. I can also run a cable for my phone charger off of that dock. So it's actually a great device as well. So I highly recommend you checking that one out. And with that, any questions from the audience for Greg or I? We have a few minutes left.
There was one question from Darren about, for example, that need kind of splitting the video, and I think they mentioned it on the Teams devices AMA session today that it will actually kind of send different feeds from those videos as well to the other participants. Maybe in the future it's probably not now available, but I remember hearing something like that.
It's definitely something that we continue to discuss as a team in terms of what to do with those multiple streams that would come in, and how do you curate those onto the remote stage so that they make sense for the user. And so pinning is also part of that discussion as well. So it's certainly something that we're thinking about, and look forward to continuing to ideate and iterate on those intelligent video solutions.
Yes, there's another question here about positional audio as well. So the stage on front row knows where each person is being rendered that's remote. And what we're doing is basically taking their audio and using stereo speakers. So it will only work initially with 2-channel stereo speakers, but we're playing their audio from either the left or the right side based on where they sit on that stage. We've played with different concepts of that, doing things like blending left and right, but actually just going full left and full right works really well for everybody in the room. So when we get audio signal for one of those people, we'll just play it out of the appropriate speaker. Most of our systems today, things like the Logitech Rally that already has a dual speaker, already support stereo. So we've looked at this with like the Nuriva speaker, with the Rally audio, with our DSP-based systems as well. And so we don't even think that it will, for many rooms, larger rooms, require additional hardware. It'll just be a software update. So the question about elaborating on the firmware code that's required for the cameras. So if you think about something like the Panacast 50, the Jabra Panacast 50, you can buy that camera today. And what it's doing is it's doing some basic audio-based active speaker tracking right now, but it isn't doing the breakup of people into a grid. That will be a software update that gets added to that camera, and that Jabra will make available for it, that will add that new feature. And once that feature is there, the initial version will be a composed video. So to the Teams room, it's getting one video feed, but it's a composed grid of all the people that it's seeing. In later releases, it will be separate video feeds that the Teams room will get and actually send those as separate video feeds into the service, so that on the remote end, those people might lay out a little bit differently. Could be on top of each other, could be left and right. But that, again, will come as a software firmware update for the camera that gets pushed through like Admin Center, for example, and a software update. So you don't have to buy any new hardware to make that work. So yeah, the follow-up there to hard left and hard right. Yeah, we tested a full blended approach, and what we found was that if you're seated right in the middle of the room, it works really well. You can really hear audio from almost the exact location that they're seated on the stage. But if you're not the person blessed enough to be right in the middle of the room, if you're in the left chair or the right chair, it really breaks the effect. And the person on the left just hears a delay. They hear the left speaker and then the right speaker later, but it doesn't create a positional effect for it. Going hard left and hard right, we did a bunch of studies on this and brought people in to give us feedback. The hard left and hard right actually was usable to everybody in that room, regardless of where they sat. So we chose that approach for now, and then we'll look at things like DTS and Atmos and other spatializers over time, but that's where the MVP will be left and right. So we are a little bit over time. I don't know if that's if we should keep going with questions, or I know there's other sessions back
if you
up
have just time, this is actually a last session of this room, so you can just continue time to answer the questions if there's questions coming.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Sandhya.
So Greg, there's this question about compression. I don't actually know the answer. Do you know how the videos are going to be compressed when you get into this multi-stream?
I believe we're not changing compression. We are reducing resolution, but I don't recall where that bottoms out. But we can make that a follow-up. Yeah. Any other questions? Did I miss anything in chat?
There's a question about segmented view.
Yeah. So segmented view, just to be clear. Hi, Ragnar. Nice to see you. So what do you mean by segmented view? What we mean by that usually is the background replacement for the people on the gallery. Is that what you mean as well? Like putting them all on a common backdrop? In the earlier marketing release, when we announced Front Row, we showed kind of a dark background, a black background with just faces without seeing anyone's own personal backgrounds. But we didn't release that way. So when we shipped Front Row, you see everybody's either background replacement image or seeing their room, like in my case. We're developing that right now, and our goal is to ship in the first half of this year, so by June, an update to Front Row that will put everybody on a common backdrop. The common backdrop really is impactful. It really gives that sense that those people that are remote are actually there with you, more of a VTC look to the meeting. But it took us a little longer to get that right. So that's in development right now, and we'll ship early this year.
I think that's it.
All right. Oh, one more.
Oh.
Oh, I see. That looks like a follow-up to the separate video streams, maybe. Yeah. So, well, sort of. So, the the cameras that are doing composite view, so the mode that we call composite, so the neat symmetry camera, the Panacast 50, when that firmware update comes, even the Logitech that does the picture-in-picture, those are composed within the camera. So the video that we get in Teams is just one video, and it's at the normal frame rate and resolution that we get if it was just, pointed into the room and streaming one view of the whole room. The network work and bandwidth concerns, I think, will become more interesting when we start sending multi-video feeds, either panoramic plus video or several different videos for the people that we see at the table. And that's where I don't have the detail on what level of compression or how we reduce resolution of those before sending them out of the room. That we'll have to follow up on. And I have no update for 4K camera resolution yet out of Teams. I think the priority there is actually going to be on content sharing and doing screen sharing at higher resolution before we get to video. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Just following the chat there.
All right. Well,
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
it looks like people are dropping. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Sandy and Greg, for these updates.